Hey crafting friends, Melanie here from Christian Craft Paper, and today I am going to be doing the tutorial for the wooden hanging plaque banner sign. So this can either be done, it comes with 2 plaques and 2 different ropes. So you could actually make just one hanging sign if you wanted. I'm actually going to be doing it as 2 signs, and I'm going to be doing it this way is how I'm going to demonstrate it. So what I'm going to be using today, what you would need to have if you're going to be doing it as I am, is obviously the plaque sign and the rope. I think I'm only going to be using 1 string of the rope, but we'll see how that goes. I have my glue gun today, I have my Mod Podge, my water, my brushes. We've got quite a bit of stuff today. My sanding block I gotta smooth out some of these little holes here, and I'm also gonna be using this to sand out the edges. I have got all kinds of I'm gonna be doing a bow, I think, so I've got just all kinds of little ribbon I have had piled up over here. I've got some buffalo check, I've got some burlap, I've got some lace. I think I'm gonna be doing like a shabby bow type thing. I forgot to grab my scissors. I swear if you watch these videos, you know I always forget to grab my scissors. So I'll have to run and grab those in a moment. I've got 2 patterns. I'm gonna be sticking with the buffalo check natural. I'm gonna be doing black and white patterns today. So I picked 2 napkins. One stand fast in the liberty of Christ. And then I'm also gonna be doing one of the Easter prints. He is not here, for he has risen as he said he would. Squirt bottle. I'm gonna be showing you a little different technique today I'm gonna try. I have my plastic sheet. This is just a Ziploc bag I'm gonna be using for one of the techniques because I am gonna be layering some papers today. And then I just have an old hymnal I'm gonna be using because I'm going to be doing the music first, and then I'll be layering the napkin over that. So let me grab my scissors real quick and decide which ones I want, and we're gonna get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is prep one of the pieces of wood here. So these do look like they have just a little bit of sharp edges on these little holes here. So I just want to kind of smooth those out so that I don't get a sliver as I'm working on this. So I'm just gonna sand both of those just to make sure that I don't get injured while I'm working here. So I'm just going over them just real quick, doesn't need to be perfect. And I'm gonna figure out what side I wanna work on. So I'm actually going to have the small holes on the front, I think, yeah. I'm gonna have the small holes on the front. So the first part of the paper I want down is just one of these music sheets. I'm not gonna pick any particular hem here. I'm just kind of grabbing whichever ones of these, whatever it's open to here. And I have been going around in thrift stores looking for these. And it's kind of, you just have to like hunt and try and find them is what I've been doing. So I just look, oh my gosh, I've not used this Mod Podge in a minute. I have it in a little like mustard, like ketchup barbecue container, and so I've been using that. And so my thing was sealed. But yeah, I've just been looking in thrift stores, and you have to go through like every section that has books and just try and find them. I've been paying about $8, seems to be the average. I've also looked on eBay, and I did score a set of them on eBay, which has been nice. But yeah, you just kind of have to hunt and find them. So, Christ the Lord is risen today. That seems like a good one to have on there. So I'm just gonna put this on here, and I'm just pressing it down. And it appears that I could have got that a little more, well, we're just gonna leave it. I could have got it a little more centered, I guess. This is what happens. Okay, so because I peeled it off, it was wanting to come off. You know what? This is a technique I might try later. I'm noticing like if you put it down and then peel it off after it's kind of on there, I might go with this whole putting it down and peeling it off at some point, not today, but that was kind of cool. So I'm just reattaching it here. It was almost like a print. Like, I don't know if you've ever played with silly putty. I'll be dating myself here, but my grandpa used to buy me silly putty when I was younger. And he would give me like the comics to play with it. And I would take the silly putty and like stick it on the comics, and then you could pull it off and the comic would be on the silly putty. That's kind of what it did there. It was pretty cool. Okay, I just want to make sure that all my edges are down. It did have a little bit of lifting here. I'm just gonna stick that on there. All right, and while this is wet, because it's a pain in the behind if you do it while it's dry, I do want to take just one of my paintbrushes and I am gonna poke through these holes, and you want to poke it through the front because if you poke it through the back, then you're gonna have your paper coming up at you, and we don't want that. So just trying to see where it's at, and then I just poke it through the front. And then that way when we go to do our ropes, we don't have a problem finding where the holes are. Okay, so I'm gonna just pick another one here. Gotta find one that has a little bit more wording. All right, this time I'll try and get it a little more centered. So again, just doing a quick light layer of the Mod Podge. On here. And we're just gonna make sure we get the edges, all the way to the edges. And we're gonna stick it on there. Now, if you're worried about getting it straight, I'm holding it up to the light this time so I can see that I get it a little better straight. It's kind of hard to see on when I don't have any light behind it, if I'm getting it on there very well. I'm just bending it around the edges so that I can see where those edges are. And I'm gonna rework these edges if it is coming up, because we don't want the edges to be lifting on us as we start sanding it. So we do want to make sure those are stuck down. Now, if you didn't have the hints, you could use newspaper. You could use any type of decoration paper, wrapping paper, really any paper, tissue paper. Even like, oh my gosh, my brain. What am I trying to think of? Like writing paper that you would use? Stationery, that's what I was trying to think of. Scrapbook paper. Any of those type of papers would work. All right, I'm gonna put that aside and shed a layer because having the spotlight on you makes it a little bit warm. Okay, put that aside. All right, so we've got our first little pieces of paper here, and I'm gonna wait to shred the edges of those because I am gonna let it dry more. I'm gonna go ahead and poke my holes because I can see that they are trying to poke up because it doesn't have any stuff in there, so you can kind of see it's wanting to pop up because there's nothing holding that spot down. All right, so we are ready to do our next little section here. Okie dokie. All right, so we're gonna get our napkins ready. So if you haven't watched one of our videos before, you'll notice that we only have our designs printed on one side of the napkin. That is because we do custom printing here in the US. And so to keep our costs low, we are only able to do the one side of the napkin because we don't print overseas, we just do US printing. And so if we were to print on all four sides of the napkin, they would charge us a lot of money and we'd have to pass that on down to our customers, and it would make our napkins not affordable. And so we just do the one side. And so that's why we only have it just on the front, but it allows us to keep our costs low and still offer these designs to the customers. So what I always do is just cut out that first square that we are using for our designs. You can run the extra portion of the napkin, you can actually tape it to a piece of cardstock and run it through your printer and print other designs on it, which we have other tutorials on how to do that. So if you're worried about the paper waste, that is one way you can reuse the other portions of the napkins. So that is an option. So save that if you're worried about waste. But today we're just going to be using the front design here. So what I'm going to do is, there's a couple ways you can do decoupage for the edging. You can either tear it with your fingernails, which is probably what I'm going to be doing today, or you can do a decoupage edge with the water, which is where you take your paintbrush and dip it like a thin paintbrush and dip it in the water, go around the edge and then tear it. Personally, I just like to use my fingernails. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm just going to be using my fingernails together to tear around the edge of the design that I want to be using. And so it's going to leave, I'm just going to go around the whole design and do the edge that way. So using whichever method you would like, you could also cut it if you wanted a perfect design. This is part of the project that makes it yours and the way you want it. It's going to make your design and your craft unique. One of the reasons I like to tear it like this is because for me it's easier to separate the plies of the napkins. Our napkins are 3-ply napkins and allows us to have really high quality napkins. But when we get down to using the napkin for the craft here in a minute, we only need the top ply. And so we're gonna have to separate all of these. So when I tear it like this, for me, it's easier to catch one of these edges and remove only the top ply. So I'm gonna keep tearing this all the way around. Until I have this part of the design. So right now it is still 3-ply. And I'm going to try and catch one of these edges so that I just get the top ply. And honestly, this is probably the hardest part of the craft. Personally, I think, is getting these plies separated. Oh, I think I got it. Okay, so you want to do it very carefully so you don't tear your design. And you'll know when you have it because there will be a little bit of ink left on the 2 plies that you have remaining. And the 1 ply will be pretty much see-through. So you could paste it right on there like that. However, when you do, you'll notice it's gonna become pretty transparent, and then that music is gonna come through and some of the words are gonna get lost probably. So if I was pasting this on just a white background, or if I painted this white, then it's gonna show up better. But I'm gonna try a different technique today that I saw another crafter do. So I'm actually going to take my little water bottle and I'm going to just lightly mist my Ziploc bag. And that is to get my paper, my little napkin to stick to this. And I'm gonna take my white paint, which I forgot to grab. So I just have regular white craft paint here that I obviously have not used in a minute, so I'm gonna shake that up. All right, I'm gonna miss this again because I'm in the Arizona heat today and I think it evaporated it already. All right, so I have that on there. And I'm just gonna take a brush. And what I'm gonna do is I put that face down so I have the words going over it, and I'm just gonna lightly paint over my words. And again, this is face down. So I'm just lightly painting over the words on the back from the front out. Gently. And I got a little bit on the outside. I'm gonna wipe off because we're gonna press this down and I don't want that paint to go outside of where this napkin is. Now all I'm doing is just painting where the words are so that the words will show up. Hopefully, this is the first time I've done this, so that the words will show up when I stick this down on my paper here. So now all I'm gonna do here, I'm just wiping up the excess water, is I'm gonna flip this over so you can see this is what it looks like on the front. This is what it looks like on the back. And I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to lay it over, placing it where I want it. And then I'm going to push it down and place it on the project. And then I'm going to peel my little Ziploc baggie out. Let's see how we came out here. All right, the paint did come through a little bit, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Now what I am seeing is the edges of my, this is just a microfiber cloth. So I'm actually I'm just dabbing it to see if I can get some of that excess paint off of the black wording. And sorry, I have somebody at the door, but we're just gonna let them be here. And I am just gonna catch the edges up here and I'm gonna push them down. So I'm just tacking the edges down. Because I do see that the edges are lifting up. And so we're just gonna tack those down. Just like that. So it is a little muted. When I did see this technique done, it was done with, not done with napkins, it was actually done with decoupage tissue paper, which is a little bit thicker. So obviously that makes a difference, but I'm gonna let it dry and see how it turns out. I don't hate it, but this is what we ended up with here. So there's another way we can do it too, which is where we actually paint the back white and then we put it on it. So that's the other way we can do it. So let me do this one that way. Then you can decide how you want to do it and how it looks. So you can see the difference. And actually on that one, I think I may actually cut this one because I really like the outside of this, how it's really strong. So let me go ahead and cut the outside of this one. And then I will show you as well on how you do the white on the outside of it. So I'm just going through and I'm cutting around the outside of the design. It's a little tricky when you get around to these flower points. That doorbell was, it's Girl Scout cookie season. Well, actually for us, Girl Scout cookie season is over, but in my neighborhood, they made a post that there was a Girl Scout coming from another state. I guess she's visiting people here and it's Girl Scout cookie season in their state. And so they said, if you wanted more Girl Scout cookies, you could order and they would bring them to us. And who doesn't want more Girl Scout cookies? Because obviously I already ate all the ones I had. So I'm super excited. I got more Thin Mints and more Samoas because that is my jam. I do have to limit myself to like 2 boxes of each kind though, because I swear if you have too many of those, they just disappear. I don't know what happens to them. But I don't know if it's me or what, but I swear they keep making them longer. Did those boxes not used to be like 2 long sleeves of cookies? And now I feel like they took the long sleeve of cookie and like cut it in half, and really now you just get 1 sleeve of cookies, but they're pretending like it's 2 sleeves of cookies. Yeah, I think it's a conspiracy. It's probably saving us calories though, so I can't really complain. Like I shouldn't complain, but I guess I shouldn't complain because the price hasn't gone up, because the price of everything else has, but yeah. Anyway, I'm excited. That was them dropping off my Girl Scout cookies, so I'll have to scoop them up after we get done here. It also is finally spring here, so we hit 91 yesterday. Went from like 65 to 90 something. Ridiculous. Okay, I'm almost done getting all the way around this design. Okay, so this is what I ended up with. I'm just cutting out that part. So this is gonna be the tricky part. Since I cut it, I don't really have like a spot to like catch the plies. Gonna get a little tricky here. I'm trying to use the point without like ripping the point. I got it, okay. Oh yeah, see, I think I only got the back ply, I didn't get 2 plies. There we go. Oh, so hard. There we go. Be oh so gentle. Okay, so when you are doing it this other way, what you can do is use this piece that you have left. If you have like one of those white chalk pencils, it's probably best, but you could use this to do like a little outline. I'm just using a regular pencil. Because the outline of that particular design is black. So if I don't go all the way to the edge of this, you know, we're gonna be okay. Oh, geez. But I kind of need to know like where the white paint needs to be. So this one, we're gonna paint the inside white. And it doesn't need to be like a ton, but it needs to be enough that we're kind of blurring out those letters a bit so they're not coming through and blurring out our design. So this would be the other way that you would do it. And then you can decide when you do yours which way that you like better. If you like the look of this one, or you like the look of the other one. Another drink of water. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's gonna get the gist of it. Well, that's drying for a minute. I'm gonna see, so this one's kind of dry. You can see where we ended up on this one. And then while this one is drying as well, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the edges on this one. So what we're gonna do is we're just taking our sanding block and we're just going away from us. So away from your body. And we're just going, so you don't wanna go back and forth because that is gonna rip the paper up towards you, and then it could actually rip the Mod Podge off you rip your paper off. That's not what we want. So just make sure you're only applying pressure on the way down, and it will give you like a nice edge. So I'm just gonna do that all the way around. And I'm just gonna keep working my way around. Obviously my sanding block has seen better days. This one gets used. Oh well. All right, there we go. So we've got that. But, so that is how that ends up looking right there. And that's gonna be our first one right there. And I think we are about dry enough there. So I'm gonna let that rest for just a little bit longer, and let's go ahead and figure out what we're doing with the bow. So, the plan was, I'm just gonna take I think we're just gonna start here. I'm just gonna take some chunks of extra stuff that I have here. Wrap it around, and then I'm just going from the biggest stuff to the smallest stuff that I have. Oh, dang it. I thought those were good scissors, maybe not. And I'm just alternating the colors and the patterns. Oh, probably you need to be able to see. I'm just wrapping them around each other. Okay, and then I just have this little guy, and I'm just gonna tie this thing in the middle here. We'll see how this turns out, because like literally I am not the best at those. And then I'm just gonna cut through the ends. And then I'm going to just see what we just kind of manipulate everything and see what we end up with. All right, so we've got something that kind of looks like that. And I don't hate it. So we're gonna put that aside. I think we can use that. I moved my garbage can, so right now I'm just kind of scooching everything to the side. All right, I think we're ready to run with this. So right now we're going to, thought my Mod Podge was drying out, so I had to stick in some water. Okay. We're gonna do our last little design on here. We're gonna apply the second one on here. All right, we're done with our white. And I'm just starting from the top, working my way down. Right over the white. And I'm just smoothing it out as I go. And there we go. So you can tell this one has a much different look than the other one. So this would be, you don't want to work it too much with your fingers because you can smear the ink, but this one has a much different look than the one that we painted. So I would probably go with this one. But let's go ahead and sand the edges on this, and then I'll show you how we're going to string them. Again, since this one is still white, you want to make sure that if you jump to this part, don't touch where we just did the Mod Podge. Because it will tear, because it's still wet. Okay. Now this is kind of like my little cheat for whenever I have to string things like this. And this is just a piece of like fishing string. You could use dental floss, anything like this. And then I use this to pull the string through the hole. So whichever one you're gonna want on the bottom, I would do first, but I just stick it through the hole, and then I use it to catch the string and then pull it through. But actually, I am going to want to do it this way because I just want the front through, because I'm actually just going to tie a knot in the front. Alright, so I pulled that through, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And this string is probably long enough. Yeah, it could probably go through all of the holes. So let's just try that. Let's see. So if we go, let's see, we need to go in this one. So we'll pull it. Having to do math and stuff. You're gonna have to give it some slack to get it through. Okay. Let's see if this works. Okay. So I'm gonna pull this all the way through. Obviously, you could cut this, but I'm just gonna see if I can get it to run. I think it can run all the way through, and then I just have the knots on the bottom. And my dog just busted in here, so good times for that. So then we're going to go through and we'll pull it on the bottom of the next one. So we're coming in the back of this one. You use the pointy part, sometimes it's easier to get it through. Alright. This has been the easiest way that I found to thread these types of canvases, because we sell quite a few that have the wooden holes, and it really kind of depends on how big they drill them. Sometimes you get lucky and the holes are really wide and you don't have any issues, and sometimes you get unlucky and the holes aren't that wide and it becomes tricky. Oh, okay, pulling the wrong side. so you can see we're kind of halfway there. We're gonna go in this top one, and then we're gonna do the same thing and loop down the other side, and then we'll have a hole at the bottom, and then we'll be good to go here. Or we'll have a knot at the bottom. We're not gonna have a hole at the bottom, hopefully. Okay, so I forget painting and sticking on one thing. I think this is the sweatiest part of this. If it's winter wherever you are, then it's probably good. This is a kind of a workout getting this thing through it. Sometimes it's easier if you get it all the way down to, if you just get it down to like this part, the end, and you just have the end go through. Sometimes that's quicker because you're not fighting the whole thing of rope. So maybe we do that. Okay, so now this is our top. And so we're gonna go through the opposite way on the other side. Again, let's just do the top because it's easier just to get that little bit through than have to double it up and pull it through. There we go. And we're doing this going backwards. So again, just getting the top. Perfect. Just getting the top again. Again, we just need enough for the top to go on the bottom because all of the excess is actually going to go on the top to hang it. And then you can always adjust the length by pulling it down and cutting it off of the bottom and adjusting the knots on the bottom. Holy heck, okay. Like I just need the last one. Okay, all right. So your back is gonna look like that. Your front is gonna look like this, and then so to adjust it, you're just gonna slide up however long you want the top to be. Just slide up. Let's say, okay, I only want the top that long, so you're just gonna slide the excess down. You can space these however far apart you want them. You know, if you want them this far apart, or space them however far apart you want them on the wall. Okay, and then you can cut these and then just tie your knots. So I've got to tack up some different things on mine, but overall, let's say that's where I wanted it to be, then I would just tie my two little knots there where I wanted it. I can just tie my two little knots there. One clip, and then I do have my little bow here. So if I wanted to, I could go there, could go there, could go in the middle. I don't know. I'm gonna play around with this a little bit more. I do want to do some touch up on my project, but that's it. That is just an example of what you could do with these, with the plaque hanging signs. And that's it for today. So again, thank you for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.